What is Ole Miss getting? The on-court.
One of the best basketball coaches in America.
And tell me why.
He, at multiple different stops, this is why his resume stands out above any other coach that they would have considered or could have considered in this cycle. Now, it's important, as Haydad has pointed out before, and we've talked about a lot, there's a reason why Ole Miss can hire this guy because he got arrested a couple months ago. Like, that has to be part of the story. But absent that, what you would get is a guy that has been an elite recruiter at multiple stops, an elite evaluator of talent and developer of talent at multiple stops, took Texas Tech to a national championship. He is immediate upgrade in coach, in process, in recruiting, in development. I don't know how much the arrest is going to impact his ability to recruit. From reading a lot about what industry insiders think about this deal, probably not much. That's what they're getting. I would expect Ole Miss as early as next year to be playing meaningful basketball in February. Right away. He did it at Little Rock, he did it at Texas Tech, and he did it at Texas. The recruiting, the development, the coaching, it is all there. This is one of the best resumes in terms of coaches in college basketball. People think, like, you have to be conservative right of Ben Shapiro to think that he is outside the top 10. I mean, that good of a basketball coach. And I've got a headline in front of me that somebody sent to me from Saturday Down South. And the headline is, "Desperate times call for desperate measures, and Ole Miss hiring Chris Beard would be a desperate measure." And, you know, I read through it, and it's a bit lukewarm. It's fine. It's not near as tough as what other people are going to write about Ole Miss if this gets done. But my response would be, yeah, they're desperate. Yes. You can call it spin, you can call it whatever you want. Ole Miss basketball is desperate to win. It is a program that right now in the moment is boring, is lifeless, has no energy, no juice, hasn't won, made the tournament in Kermit Davis's first year with an NBA player that he inherited. We're talking years ago, and then COVID happened, and then they played bad basketball after that. Fans have checked out. It has no history of success. The only NBA success they have right now is a guy that most average sports fans don't know. If you walked sports fan on the street, who's Terrence Davis? Would they be able to tell you? Probably not. No NBA presence, no history of winning. Right now, it's lifeless. You can call it desperate if you want, but what this will do for basketball, now you can talk about the negative press and all that, but for basketball, will put Ole Miss in a position to do something that they don't do as a program. 1 Sweet 16, 9 tournament appearances. That's all they've got in the entire history of the program. It doesn't win. They've got a beautiful building that for the last couple of years has sat empty, basically. Desperate's not the worst way to describe the situation that they're in. I don't blame Keith Carter for putting his hands up and saying, you know, we're going to have to wear it. It's going to be ugly for 48 hours, just really for 48 hours. But then when that ends, winning's going to happen. And his job as the AD is to field winners. And Ole Miss basketball hasn't done that. I don't blame him. It's a nuanced thing. We've talked about it many times. It's kind of rehashing, but I don't like that this is what college sports is. I said earlier, I don't think Brandon Miller should be playing. I don't think Auburn should have hired Hugh Freeze. I don't think James Franklin should be coaching at Penn State, of all places, after what happened at Vanderbilt and then his involvement with what happened at Vanderbilt. He's at Penn State. Does anybody talk about Vanderbilt anymore? Does anybody talk about James Franklin and Vanderbilt anymore? Hugh Freeze hasn't coached a game yet at Auburn, and nobody talks about what AL.com reported when he was hired. Not just with Ole Miss and NCAA, but what happened at Ole Miss, what happened before he got to Ole Miss, and what happened with him sending emotionally charged messages to an alleged victim of sexual assault that was suing his employer. Nobody talks about that anymore. You can argue if that's right or wrong, but I'm telling you that is how it's going to go. Ole Miss, when this gets announced, is going to have columns calling them desperate, calling them not having any morals, saying that it's gross, all that stuff. People are going to write it and they're going to talk about it. And then a day and a half later, the tournament's going to start and people aren't going to talk about it anymore. Should that be how things are? No. Is that how things are? Yes. And so when all that settles, Ole Miss will have hired a basketball coach that can do things at that place that has never been done at that place before. It's that simple. Would they have gotten him without an arrest? No. Is that part of the story? Yes. Will that matter to the overwhelming majority of people? No. When they're playing meaningful basketball in February, will the pavilion be full of people? Yes. So, desperate? Sure. But it makes sense. I understand it. I told